Hi folks, and welcome back to another fly tying tutorial. The fly you see in the vise is a Madeira Hog. So without further ado, let's get into it. The hook in the vise is a Hanak H260 barbless hook. This one's at size 10. It's on a heavy wire gauge and it's finished in black nickel. Now the thread I have here is from a friend. Phil Thomas kindly sent me this, and it's Madeira orange. I believe it comes from Hobbycraft in large spools, and he's kindly decanted it onto a spool for me to use for these hogs. Now, I've been tying these for a while now. I'm putting a box together for Orkney, and the thing with them is they're really simple to tie, but very hard to get right, if that makes any sense. Sorry to be so, I don't know, what one doesn't make sense. It's either one or the other. Are they simple or are they complicated? Well, they're not complicated at all. They're very repetitious and they're very easy to tie. But what they are is quite difficult to get right, as I've been finding. So what I'm going to do to start is get plenty of wax onto my thread initially. And I'm going to come in just behind the eye. Now this Madeira thread here is fairly heavy denier. I would say it's probably around a 6/0 thread. I'm going to come all the way to the back of the hook. Then I'll use my scissors just to take away that waste. Now the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the wax by simply rubbing my fingers onto the thread. Now you'll see there's still plenty left on my running line. Now the next thing then is I'm going to position my thread to catch in the first bit of deer hair, and what I've been doing is coming back 5 turns. So I've got this little orange butt, if you like. Again, I'll just come in with my fingers and heat up that wax. So fly tying's a funny old thing. I mean, I would never have, when I started YouTube, I would never have dreamed that I was going to be tying flies like this, but here we are down the line. So I was kindly sent this patch of roe deer by Ken Kennedy, who lives up in the Highlands, and this is what he uses. So good enough for Ken, good enough for me. Now what I'm looking to do is separate a tiny amount. I say tiny, I'm looking for about a ½ centimetre of deer hair. Now, this is what that looks like in the hand when you cut it away. Now, what you've got to do, I'm sure you're aware if you've watched any other videos where people have been dealing with deer hair, is you've got to comb out all the under fur. Now this stuff that Ken sent me, I don't know what he's done, but it seems to have removed the vast majority. All I'm removing here is mostly just cut ends rather than the under fur that you get with deer hair. So I'm going to get it into my stacker like so, and not all of it went in the stacker, and then I'll just give it a slight tap on the bench, and hopefully that's stacked good enough for government work. Then I can take away the bit I don't want, any bits I don't want actually. And I'm going to dress it up to the hook. I don't want it to protrude too far past the bend, so I'm just looking at the measurement, and what I'm going to do is just take that away. So I've got a very small amount of deer hair here. Now with this, I find thread control is really important. So keep your thread nice and short, come over the top in a sort of hold and turn, if you like. Once you're content it's in place, 2 turns, I'm going to tighten up on that. I've come off the deer hair now, and then I'm going to come back onto it and capture that in place. Let's have a look, see how that's looking. Now key here is that you have a nice clean bottom. You don't want your deer hair creeping down below the bottom of the fly. So just get some bits and bobs out the way there. Then the next thing I'm going to do is exactly the same. And this is what I mean by it's not a difficult fly to tie. It's just difficult to get right. And if you tie a lot of these, I'm sure you'll know exactly what I mean. If you don't, you'll be thinking I've lost my head. And you're probably right, it's a bit of both. It's a bit of both. So I'm just combing out the deer hair once again. And again, as you get used to it, you can start to... Oops, just lost my stacker there. You can start to get a feel for how much deer hair you want in each clump. Now it's not stacking particularly well, and I suspect earlier I did try and put my UV resin into this deer stacker because I thought that was the tub. This is what happens when you get old. Everything seems to go awry. So again, I've got a little bit stacked there. I'm going to dress it up. I don't want it to come beyond this one. So that looks about right. And then again, I'll come over my cutting bench and I'll come in. Now I only want about, I'm going to come back up slightly, a millimetre. Again, see how short my thread is here. That's where I'm getting all the control. I don't want the deer hair to spin like you would normally if you were tying a muddler. You'd want the deer hair to spin on the shank. I don't want that. I want it to stay on top of the shank. Now because it's quite a heavy gauge thread, you can get quite a lot of pressure onto the fly. So I'll just check the bottom again, make sure I've not done myself wrong. I can see a cut end there trying to get away with it, so I'm just going to come back, bear with me, get that covered up. Like so, and then I can come back to where I've started there. So far so good. And again, it's going to get a bit repetitious this, but we go back to our pelt of deer hair here. And then I can come in again once more with my comb. Put it into the stacker, which will be getting a good clean out after this video, I might add. And it does take a little while, so usually, and I don't mean to seem boastful here, but I can look at a fly and maybe have one practice at it and then it's good to go. I can just rattle them out. But this fly, I'll be honest, has taken me some time to get to grips with. To get it how I want it anyway, should I say. So again, I'm going to come up. I'll get a loose turn just to hold that into place. Then I'll come through the cutting ends, keeping a really good tight hold off the deer hair. You don't want that deer hair spinning, as I said the last time we went round. But you can see, if I turn it now, you can start to see I'm getting a nice orange bottom. And then I'm back to my deer pelt. I've taken a bit too much that time, but I can get rid of that over the wastebasket. And come in again. Just get them cut ends away. Yeah, I've definitely got some liquid in this stacker. It's not working like it usually does for me. I'll need to dry it out, I suppose. or probably burn it out is more likely if I've got resin in there. So again, although I get used to the length I want, I still like to just dress it up, have a look at it, and then back to trimming. I'm going to add a little bit more wax to my thread here, just to help with gripping the hairs here. The deer hairs here. Different creatures. So I've got that on. I've only got a millimetre or so showing. I'm going to capture that in with a couple of loose turns once I'm content. I can clamp that down. So you can see the hedgehog starting to form. I'm keeping it well back from the underside. That one not so much. I'll just use my fingers to bring that round a little bit. I mean, not every one of them is going to be perfect, and certainly I've tied a good dozen of these now. Some of them will be getting stripped down because I'm just not happy with the way they're sitting. But that's, you know, that's me. You might think, yep, it's good enough for government work, but I think a lot of anglers, if a fly doesn't look right, they'll just not bother tying it on the hook. I know I'm certainly very much like that, and it's often the case, even in competition, when my boat partner's doing rather well and he's kind enough to offer me a fly. Very rarely will I tie it on. I generally have a look at it and then go into my own boxes to see what I've got that could mimic that fly. But again, I would say 80% of fly fishing is confidence. If you're confident with what you're fishing with, you'll catch fish. Providing the fish are biting, of course. It doesn't always work out like that. So on this occasion, I'm near the front of the hook now. I'm going to look, see where I am with the deer hair. That looks about right. And again, back with this. So I'm going to dress it up. This time, I'm going to just get it shy the eye of the hook. I'll bring it over 2 turns to just hold it into place. And this time when I come through the cut eyes, I'm bringing my thread all the way to the eye of the hook. Then from the eye of the hook, I can start steadily building up my head. Like so. And then I can grab my whip finish tool . And then I can take away the thread. Now, you can finish this in a number of ways. If you prefer to use varnish, you can varnish the head. I've simply been doing a little bit of resin on the head. I'm just going to check the bottom. I see one strand that's going to annoy me, so I'll just get rid. That's looking not too bad, so you can have a look at the bottom there. Now, what I don't know, and I've not asked, I don't want to seem ignorant, is what is this meant to represent? It might seem like a dry fly, but I believe it's fished on sunken lines and various other different ways of fishing it, but it doesn't look like anything at all to me. I don't know whether maybe somebody from Orkney might be able to tell me what's the significance of the thread and the sedge hog, because it certainly does work. There's no doubt about that. Oops. We'll just cure that off. And I've only got another 30 of these to tie, so I'm looking forward to that. Not. But I hope it's been of some use. I hope it shows you that, you know, you must watch several people on YouTube tying flies, and I know a lot of them make it look really easy, and some people say to me sometimes that, oh, you make it look really easy, but trust me, not every fly's dead easy. Some of them take a bit of work and time and practice just to get right, and I've got it to a point now where I'd be content to fish with this fly in the boat. So thanks for watching. If it's been of some use, please do give the video a little like. See you next time.